Okay, let's get started. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions in the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020, and extended June 16, 2021 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Great Barrington Select Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so following the instructions at the top of the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we'll post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Pursuant to Mass General Law 7C 30A 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by CTSB, by the town, by the Berkshire Edge, and also some members of the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed. Other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Before we get started, probably the item that drew the most interest tonight, which is a special permit application for 250 Long Pond Road. There's been a request for that to be withdrawn, and when we get to that part of the meeting, we will vote to allow the withdrawal. So if anyone has other places to go and is here just for that, that will not be brought up tonight at all. The other thing is Mark and I are experimenting tonight with a device called an owl, which is what we'll use as a select board for hybrid meetings. We use it at the school committee now. We're making sure this works, and we're getting ready for some in-person meetings, combination hybrid meetings, in-person and Zoom. So if you see that, a split screen with Mark and I on it, that's through what's called the owl. Okay, let's start with select board's announcement or statements. Garfield.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Nothing.
Steve.
Just two things regarding issues at Lake Mansfield. There has been some defacing of the signs that are in front of the Lake Mansfield, in front of Lake Mansfield itself, that point out some of the work that's being proposed. So I just want to let everyone know to kind of keep an eye out for anyone that is doing that. And the other item, just a thanks to Mark and Sean for being on top of switching out the warning for the ice and replacing it with no idling at Lake Mansfield. I think the signs are forthcoming, but just to let people know again that there are regulations against idling, and we have seen an increase at the lake, both at the boat launch and the lake itself. So just to keep an eye out for that. Thank you.
And I only have one thing, which is now that we've come out of the pandemic, partially at least, and we're starting to do public meetings, I think it's time the select board visit doing a neighborhood meeting. And my proposal is we do one in Housatonic. I think that's the next place for us to go. So I want the staff to be able to be there. So we usually do these on a Monday night. We'll probably shoot for a Monday in August. We'll check through housekeeping to make sure that all the select board can make it, and we'll publicize it well. But so be on the lookout for that once we get all the staff's vacation, and make sure that the staff that needs to be there can be there. We'll have an in-person meeting, hopefully in August in Housatonic. Moving ahead, town manager's report.
Thanks, Steve. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
I'm a little bit further from the mic, so I just wanted to make sure. First on my list is Housatonic Water Works, and I just wanted to update you all tonight to let you know that one of our two engineering firms working on the phase 2 study, ACOM, has confirmed that they'll be ready to present their findings at our next meeting, so July 12th. And staff will get the word out to Housatonic residents through our social media accounts and through a village-wide code red call in advance of that meeting. So we will do our best to spread the word in Housatonic. Next on my list is to welcome our new treasurer collector. I'll go ahead and promote her. Alicia Doolan, who started here a few weeks ago now on June 7th, town meeting day. She worked for the town of Sheffield since 2013 and for the last 3 years as their treasurer collector. She's a graduate of Westfield State College and lives in the town of Lee, and we're excited to have her join our team here at Town Hall. So welcome, Alicia.
Yes, thank you so much. I am so grateful for the opportunity. I didn't know if I could get video on here, but it's not working. So I apologize for that if that was an option and I missed it, but yes, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Yes, well, welcome, Alicia. And I think that's part of the problem with the webinar format. It's the only problem that I know of. Other people will tell me I'm wrong, is that if you're not a panelist, there you go. The panelist.
Let me just, perfect. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm really excited to, well, I've already started, but to keep going and getting that office cleaned up, maybe a little bit more efficient and get where we need to be.
Great.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Next on my list is an update for board and committee meetings. Our meetings will continue remotely now that legislation last week extending this provision into the spring of 2022. Chairs of boards that feel comfortable offering a hybrid format meeting may do so, and we'll provide some technical assistance to those chairs if it's required or requested. And I'm anticipating, as Steve mentioned earlier, that we will transition to a hybrid meeting format very shortly. And then my last update tonight is Public Works projects update. And we have a number of projects getting underway and a few going out to bid or nearing completion. So I'm going to ask Sean Van Duzen, our Public Works Superintendent, to just provide the board and the public with an update. He should be on the line.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I'll just give a quick overview of some of the projects. They're not all the projects, but I think there's some of the larger ones that are going on that people might notice or might have an impact. So feel free to ask any questions about anything that's off the list while I'm here. The first few changes since last time I gave an update, Advanced Mechanical won the bid for the boiler replacement at Ramsdale Library. There's a few month lead time on the boiler, so it's likely that work won't be starting until September or October. The low bid was for $40,000. La Rochelle Construction was a low bidder for the roof replacement at the fire station in Housatonic. Their bid was $48,800. I don't have a schedule updated from them yet, but when I do, I'll make sure that everyone's aware of it. The bid opening for the triplex parking lot, Bridge Street and Bentley Ave project is July 15th. The estimate for that job is $1.6 million. It will have a sizable impact on the town this fall, as you can imagine, having that parking lot behind the triplex ripped up is going to be a bit inconvenient. We're going to do the best we can with the business owners to limit the impact and to always have a portion of that parking lot open. I do want to add that there are charging stations going into that parking lot as well. I believe there's 2. The bid opening for Rossiter Street, Fairview Terrace, Maplewood Ave, Magnolia is July 1st. Also included in that bid is an extension, well, a sort of graveling of the Housatonic Rail Trail from the intersection on Main Street to the south. So the town portion of the rail trail it's owned will be cleaned up and gravelled, similar to the way the Riverwalk is. So that should be a nice addition to the work that's already going on there on Main Street. Additionally, that bid also includes the extension of the Riverwalk through Olympian Meadows, the outside of those fields, in an effort to try to connect the sort of missing portion of that Riverwalk to Cottage Street. It's not Cottage Street, to Brush Hill at some point. On the heels of those two paving projects, we also have another paving project that's going out to bid this week, or maybe early next week. That's the paving of Berkshire Heights, Barrington Place, Pleasant View, Haley Road, and Highland Drive. I don't have an estimate for that that paving. I believe it's somewhere in the $800,000 range. Additionally, Beta Engineering is working on bid documents to do the work for the crosswalk safety on Main Street. I believe you guys got a presentation from them several months ago. So we're hoping to get that work done this fall in the midst of all the other projects. So they're starting work on that. And they also are submitting a proposal for a sort of overview of an engineering overview of the Monument Mountain intersection on Route 7. So I'm expecting a proposal from them to sort of take a look at that any time. EDM Engineering is writing bid documents to replace the compactor at the transfer station, which is on its last leg. Money was given for that several years ago, but we're finally getting to the project. They're also working on the generator replacement at the police station. That's obviously a priority given that it's our emergency management center and want that in good working order. EDM's also writing the bid documents for the Hoosier School roof and tarp, for the tarping in the of the roof and the boarding up of the windows. Simultaneously, we have an AC coil that's down at Mason Library, which also needs to be addressed. So they're doing the bid documents for those. So work on I just received a update on the schedule for the Taconic Ave, the work on the Taconic Ave retaining wall, as well as the front steps at the town hall. Unfortunately, the lead time on those steps is several months. So we're looking at probably starting the work here at town hall in the next 7 to 9 weeks, out that far, to replace the front steps. And I think within 4 or 5 weeks for the Taconic Ave retaining wall. Additionally, we've ordered new furniture for the select board meeting room. We're expecting that furniture to arrive in the next 3 to 4 weeks. The survey and engineering has started at the Ramsdale Library for the ADA compliant front entrance. So you might see people around there doing survey work. They were there today. Work on the Main Street project in Housatonic is mostly complete, minus some punch list items, dynamic speed signs, crosswalk lights, new line striping, and there's some grade issues that need to be addressed there still. Work on the CHP trail, which is down on Route 7 by the brewery you've seen, has come to a bit of a standstill while we await MassDOT approval, engineering approval for the retaining wall. But I think they're going to give approval this week, which means we'll get back going. And that should wrap up in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Just kind of a backlog and a lot of people doing a lot of work all at once with the pandemic ending. So that's a sort of bird's eye overview of what's going on.
Anyone have any questions? Lee?
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. That was very, very helpful. I had a few questions regarding the triplex parking lot. Are we going to be seeing any addition of parking spaces once this is done, or any decrease?
It's the same footprint.
Okay, great. And in regard to the crosswalks or the work on Main Street, I remember in the presentation there was a recommendation for a median between in the middle. So I was just wondering, is that included in the work that we'll be doing on Main Street?
So yeah, it's one of the recommendations. I'll be coming back for you guys for a final approval for the design before we go out to bid. So you'll be hearing from us again before we do the project, because there's several different sort of layouts and design, and we haven't finalized it yet. So I think that we had left it with, there was a chance to do some line striping rather than an actual center meridian, but we'll be coming back for a final approval in the next 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Sorry, next month or so.
So the center meridian will be one of the proposals we are.
Yeah, one had some line striping, as I recall. Another one was actually had a place to like actually rest in the middle, like a little raised island. So we do need to get a final approval from you guys for the design before we go out to bid.
Gotcha. And then the Housatonic School, is there kind of a timeline? I know you're getting bid documents, but worst case scenario, when do we think that we'd be able to do work on the roof and windows, shoring up that?
That will depend on the contractor, depending on the availability. My guess is August or September.
Okay, thank you.
Garfield?
Yes, I have a couple and I have to either plead ignorance or I missed something, but I'm a little confused about the parking lot behind Triplus, what's going on, what's happening. And when I heard the 1.6, it made me think of what we were almost going to spend or got voted down for the fixing of the parking lot up by where the train station is. And was that going to mean at this point, if that had passed, we'd be now spending $2 million on parking? Or am I wrong or something? Because
those are unrelated projects. This project was actually one that we had gone out to bid for 2 years ago and did not have the funds available. This also includes work down around the new 100 Bridge Street site and new sidewalks down there. This was an old project. We got a MassWorks grant a couple of years ago to do, and we just didn't have enough funds at that time to finish.
thank you.
Anyone else with questions? Eric, go ahead, just unmute yourself.
Hey, Sean, just curious, the project in Housatonic, I know you got punch list items. Have they given you any time frame on that?
No, so the final punch list was submitted last week, and we haven't heard a response from them in terms of some of the gradation issues. We do have a time frame for the lights. I think they're 2 or 3 weeks out. The dynamic lights, there'll be like a PED button you pushed across the street and they'll flash, sort of like the one we have in South Main Street. But unfortunately, everyone's lead time for everything, and it's kind of long. The supply chain is definitely not functioning the way it normally does.
So those crosswalk lights, are they going at every new crosswalk down Main Street, or where exactly are those going to be placed?
There's going to be 2 PEDs. One's going to be on Oak and one's going to be at the rail trail.
Okay.
Anyone else have any other questions? Audience, anyone? Sean, thank you very much. We're going to have you in more often because it seems like you may be doing a lot of projects over the next year or two, and I think it's really helpful to update us on them.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Mark, anything else?
No, all set.
Great. Next, we have continuation, public hearing, Jeff Caminiti, 20 Public House for a change of manager. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to reopen the public hearing for Jeff Caminiti, 20 Public House for a change of manager.
Don't see him in the list.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Garfield? I got a yes. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Now, I don't see him here, which is disturbing, but we're not voting on this without someone here. I'll use up a few minutes while Mark looks to make sure I'm not missing anything. We have right now 6 panelists and 17 attendees for a total of 23 people. Okay, that's as much as I can do, you know.
I don't see Jeff here unless there's somebody here to represent.
Okay, so let's make a motion to continue
Can we,
the,
I just sent an email to him just in case.
I'm not playing this game with him. Sorry. He's been told about this and we've been through this. Quite honestly, if they're changing their manager, they're in danger of losing their liquor license because the manager that they have isn't on premise. So probably I shouldn't eat there for a while, but that's okay. They're good people. I don't know why we can't just have them at the meeting. A motion to continue this.
I make a motion.
Let me just find it.
July 12th.
July 12th.
Unless you want to tackle on June 28th, but that's our goal setting.
July 12th, Lee.
Okay, I make a motion to continue the public hearing with Jeff Caminiti, 20 Public House for a change of manager to July 12th.
Do you have a second?
Not me.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'm not going to second this one.
I know. Do we want to work on this tonight?
I'd rather wait, at least see if he shows up. I also don't have any questions for him, so I wouldn't have a problem voting without him.
I can't second my motion, can I?
So let's do it right now.
Okay, motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Let's start out as a fairly short meeting, could get longer. My problem is that we've asked them to be here, and I would like to just hear, from the applicant. And so what I'll do is, since the public hearing is opened, I will go with Ed's brilliant suggestion that we'll continue the meeting and hope he shows up. And if he doesn't, as we get towards the end of the meeting, we'll have to make a decision. Because there was no second on either motion. So let's move ahead. I need a motion to accept the request to withdraw the special permit application at 250 Long Pond Road without prejudice.
I make a motion to withdraw the special permit application from 250 Long Pond Road without prejudice.
To accept the withdrawal. Second.
Excuse me, to accept the withdrawal. Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Without prejudice, if I'm understanding this correctly, it means they can come and bring this up again?
Yes.
Is this something we really need to do without prejudice, or can it be done without that? I don't know.
We talked about that in other ways. The only way you would do it, that I understand, and I'm not a legal mind, is that if we heard it and turned it down, they couldn't come back for 2 years. But they've asked to withdraw, and they can withdraw without prejudice. That's how I understand it. Mark, do you have any comments on that?
No, that's correct. As long as the board supports the withdrawal without prejudice, they can return and resubmit a similar or even the same application.
Yeah, I think the key to special permit applications is once someone files one, let's say they come back and file like Garfield,
Mm-hmm.
we have to hear the special permit application. It doesn't mean we have to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we vote, we talked about this on another one, and Ed may remember better than I. It was before everyone else's time, but there is no, as I was told at least, and we're going by my memory, there's no such thing as with prejudice. Do you remember that, Ed?
Yeah, and also, I mean, we could hear it, but we'd be hearing an application from somebody who at this point doesn't want to apply. So this makes the most sense. Right, we don't want to make a decision without hearing. We can't make a decision without hearing it. So they still could come back with a different proposal or a slightly different proposal. This allows that.
Or the same, right, if it's, yes, I get what you're saying. Does that answer briefly your question, Garfield, at least somewhat?
Somewhat.
Okay. Somewhat. Roll call vote, Garfield.
No.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's 4-1. It passes, so it's withdrawn without prejudice. Okay. New business. Does anybody see Dan Bailey on the line? Eric, have you talked to him recently?
I talked to him last week. It was my understanding he was going to be in attendance this evening.
Usually he'll text me if there's a problem. I'm starting to get a feeling that people are just not showing up because they don't like me. I don't know. Eric, I'm not going to put you in the spot to report for the Housatonic Improvement Committee. That's not fair to you. I mean, if you tell me you'll do it, that's fine, but I really don't want to do that. I really, Dan was prepared to do that. So let's move on just like we did with the other special permits, see if they show up at the end. If not, we'll move it to the next meeting, which is disappointing for me because this is, last meeting Dan couldn't make it and I get it. So let's just move ahead. So then let's move my paperwork along. So we have a one planning board alternate appointment.
So I'd
Yes.
like to recommend to the board that you table this item until we receive a recommendation from the planning board.
Okay, we have not received a recommendation from the planning board, so I will have us skip over this one till our next meeting. That's typically, we do get a recommendation from the board. So now we have 2 Lake Mansfield Task Force appointments. Mark, do you want to just guide us through this one?
Sure. So we're asking tonight that you appoint 2 individuals to the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force. One would replace former select board member Bill Cook, and one would fill the citizen at large position. So I guess the first item of business would be the approval of our citizen at large position. And we have 1 applicant, Cindy Schoenfeld, on the line.
Okay.
She has her hand raised.
Yeah, she does. You got it?
All set.
I got Carol
Oh,
Lynch.
sorry.
Yes.
I got it. So you can take care of that. Cindy, did you want to say anything before we?
Yes, sorry. Sorry, I just also needed to unmute.
No problem.
Yes, as my letter stated, my family, we've actually been living here for 17 years. It is our second home, but we are very involved with the lake. My husband swims there constantly. My grandchildren love it. And I just feel like it would be we've always been very interested in maintaining it. I've been very impressed with what the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force has done. And I think it would be good. I could be helpful to the town because I'm so involved with the lake, and I'd like to offer my services and be involved.
Terrific. I have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the citizen at large appointment of Cindy Schoenfeld to the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force.
Do I have
Second.
thank you. I have a motion and a second roll call vote.
Wait, I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And I will absolutely vote yes, and thank you for coming forward. Did you live near the lake?
Yes, so I live on 5 Lake Mansfield Lane. So we actually overlook the lake, yes.
So the only concern I have, and again, thank you for volunteering, I'm going to vote yes, is there has been criticism that too much of the committee, until recently, all of it, lived right near the lake. And we're not hearing from, there's no input from people who aren't right on the lake. So I think that at this point, that makes at least 4 out of the 7. So I just want to point that out. However, again, thank you for, I'm not saying you won't do a good job. That you don't.
No, and I understand that. On the other hand, the people who are most interested, I mean, it makes sense that the people who are most interested in the project would more likely,
Right.
utilize the lake and either live near. But I think there is one still opening for you to choose, correct? For
I
the
think
select
that's
board?
Well, yeah.
Yes. So that person could be someone who does not live near the lake.
So I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Thank you for applying, and you are now on once you get sworn in.
Thank you. Thank you for voting for me.
Thank you,
I
Cindy.
look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Next is the select board. Do we have anyone interested in the select board?
I am.
Oh, me too. I was sort of hoping Eric or you, Steve. It's not a burning desire. I just, again, think it should be someone who doesn't live by the lake, which is one of the 3 of us.
Well, I'd like to speak to that, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, I've been very, very involved in the Friends of Lake Mansfield, the Lake Mansfield Alliance, and no disrespect to you, Ed, but you voted against the lake, the Improvement Task Force recommendation. So, and to my knowledge, you haven't had really much involvement in the cleanups and some of the activities there. And I think just because people live close to the lake or don't live close to the lake, it's a community amenity. And I think location really shouldn't make a difference. And And really the support that you've given to the lake in the past should be worthy of something. So in terms of, you know, having someone on the task force that doesn't live to the lake, I don't think that that's a necessary requirement.
So let me just clarify, I did not vote against the recommendation. And in fact, you voted against the temporary repaving, which has allowed people to enjoy it for the past time, which I voted for. I was at almost every one of their meetings up until the plan was created. My concern is there isn't enough parking, and there's not enough motivation for people who can walk there to try and get more parking. And I just want that voice heard. I'm not going to challenge you on this, but I do want to say now, and I will show up at meetings and say it, there needs to be more parking, and the people who live there, who have entirely made up this committee, have not been concerned about that. And nor should they be, because they can all walk. So I'm not putting my name forward if you want to do it, but I do think it's a problem with optics for a committee to be entirely made up of the neighborhood that's going to benefit the most from this. So that's my own concern.
The only thing I'll say is it was a 4-to-1 vote to close the road, and I was the one who voted against it because I wanted it one way, and I also thought there were many neighbors who wanted it one way, and I thought that someone should vote with the neighbors. I fully support it being closed now. I support what the board did, and I respect that. So Lee, I'm appointing you to that committee. Ed withdrew his name, so you're on it, Lee.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have the FY22 annual reappointments. Lee, do you want to make a motion?
Let me scroll down here. Do you want me to go name by name?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the FY22 reappointments, starting with Fred Clark to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Second, are we doing one at a time?
All of them.
Is that
Do all of them. We'll do all of them. You can do all of them.
All right, in a list. Fred Clark to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Bill Cook to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Garfield Reed to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Ellen Smith to the Board of Registrars, Jean Bichetti to the Commission on Disability, Pat Hollenbeck on Commission on Disability, Kate Van Olst to the Conservation Commission, Patrick Barrett to the Cultural Council, Kate Coleman to the Cultural Council, Ellen Shanahan, excuse me if I got that wrong, to the Cultural Council, Kurt Barbieri, Fence Viewer, Bernard Drew to Fence Viewer, Don Howe, Historic District Commission, Marilyn Biswitz, someone can connect me or correct me on that, to the Historical Commission, Malcolm Fick to the Historical Commission, Gary Levier, Historical Commission, Michael Peretti, Tree Committee, and John Katz to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. Thank you for these people for continuing to volunteer your time. We really appreciate it. Next, appointment to the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Tate Coleman to the Berkshire Transit Authority Advisory Board for a 1-year term.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. 2 things to go back to. I did. Excuse me?
I have a question on that. I thought we were replacing Bill Cook tonight. That's not what we were doing.
On what?
On the transportation. Remember, he had to leave. He's not on. I don't think Bill's not on that anymore, is he?
This is a reappointment of Tate.
No, these are
Reappointments. Okay.
appointment. Tate's been on it.
Correct.
Right. And I know that he's been the chair.
Yeah,
He's the member.
Bill Cook was the representative on this advisory
From
board.
the select board, right?
Tate stepped in, and this is just a reappointment.
Did you hear that Tate actually took Bill's place last year? We don't, it's not a select board representative.
It can be a select board member, but it can also be a designee.
Okay, so the board is full now, is what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Dan's gonna get on in a moment. He forgot about it, which is fine. Let's go back. Ed, did you get an answer from,
No,
okay. Do you want to make that motion again, or do we want to make a motion to table? Let's do something with this.
is anyone else interested in hearing it without him here? If not, Lee can make her motion.
I mean, at this point, he wants to put a new manager in. I just wish this is 2 meetings in a row, he hasn't shown up and he's been called. But just to move this along.
Right, so go ahead and make the motion then.
Okay. I make a motion to continue the public hearing of 20 Public House for change of manager to July 12th
Second.
And that'll be at 6 PM.
at 6 PM.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call,
We're
Garfield.
giving him too much time. That's my 2 cents.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I think we're giving him, I don't think he needs 3 chances. It isn't baseball. It's an important issue. He's been called twice. He's not a child. We don't have to take him by his hand. I don't think he needs 3 opportunities, so I'm not excited about
So if we voted on it tonight, would you vote in favor or against?
it. Again,
But he would have to come back to us, and he has to have a manager in order to serve liquor.
I understand. So, all right. I understand that.
That's my only point. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not here to hold anyone's hands. You and I are in agreement on this.
Steve, I had a question. Are they serving liquor right now with the old manager, or how's that working right now?
Mark, you want to answer that?
To the best of my knowledge, they are serving alcohol, yes. And
And
this is part of the typical process when management changes. They apply to the local approving authority, which is the select board, and then we submit our approval to the ABCC for final. So there is usually a transitional period. So this isn't that unusual, but it's unfortunate that we have to table this again for another 2 weeks, especially during the holiday.
Is there a problem that they're serving liquor on someone else's name?
Right.
I can't answer that question.
It's probably an ABCC question.
It is. We can certainly check, but I wouldn't be able to get an answer in time for this meeting.
That is a concern of mine.
Well, we have a motion and a second. The motion's to table. To roll call vote, Garfield?
No.
Okay, Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, so it's been tabled for 2 more weeks. And our final thing, Dan Bailey is on. And Dan's the chair of the Housatonic Improvement Committee. Dan, do you want to give us an update?
Yeah, sure. Sorry for the, I didn't realize that you guys had back-to-back meetings. I completely missed that. I'm sorry. So I just walked in, so I'm gathering my thoughts here. But yeah, so the Housatonic Improvement Committee, I wanted to stop by and give you guys kind of an update and let you know where we were with several things. And most importantly is the Housatonic School in the charrette that we've kind of been trying to get going here with. It's part of the American Institute of Architects continuing ed program that they have to do. They basically will do it for, a design charrette pro bono, so free of cost, with some parameters that we kind of set up. It's kind of taken a little time to develop, and unfortunately, they don't meet during the summer period. But they're the woman organizing it, Carrie Bartini from Berkshire Design Group, is says that they will meet back in September, and she hopes to have a date set sometime in September to be able to do that. It's our intention as the committee to kind of still continue developing our end of the recommendations now that we can sort of get back into some sort of physical meeting where we can actually go through the countless pages of information with the school. We feel that we can probably start to develop the basis for some recommendations, and then use the charrette to kind of finalize that. So we don't have an exact date for that, but again, we're hoping that it would be sometime late September or early October. And that way, by October, we could have something for you guys formally. That's our goal there. The other kind of thing that that's new to our radar, but that we feel like we would like to kind of move forward with is Cook's Garage. And then hopefully over the next couple meetings that we have, we would like to develop a recommendation for you guys regarding Cook's Garage as well. That we believe could be done without a whole lot of more formal presentations and things like that. It would be a very basic recommendation to you guys for that. The committee itself, we are still short 2 members. So I'll kind of put that shout out again to anybody that might be on that. The Housatonic Improvement Committee is accepting members. Like I said, as we're too short. We are going to continue to meet through the summer. We do hope to be able to possibly meet at the community center when the work that's being done might be finished there. I understand that might be a possibility. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. We also kind of been monitoring social media, especially with the regarding things like obviously the waterworks and the sidewalks. We've been trying to get information out to those that do come to our meetings regarding both of those things, with information that we get back from the town as well too. So I think those are our biggest things that we're looking at. Oh, and of course the appropriation of the funds for the tarping of the roof and securing of the windows. I did send a formal recommendation to the select board a month or so ago. And we do just want to reiterate that still is our position for you to go ahead as soon as those funds are available to go ahead and move forward on that.
And we did talk about that earlier, and that's going to be done. Sean was on.
Okay, I apologize. So, yeah, and I just do want to reiterate to anybody that might be listening and to the board that doesn't put us in any position that we are saying that we intend to keep the building. Again, all options are open at this point, but it's just we feel that it is, if the option is a recommendation is to save the building, that this would be a inexpensive cost that would certainly help drive that recommendation. And I guess the only other thing that we had briefly kind of discussed again was just a reminder, and I'm sorry I missed Sean, and I don't know if Sean's still on, but where the posting of the pedestrian crosswalk signs. I know for certain on Pleasant Street, you can often take your life in your hands when you're trying to cross that street. People come quite quickly down that hill, and they do not stop at the crosswalks. So if we could get the DPW to put out the same kind of pedestrian crosswalk signs that are on Main Street in Great Barrington, that'd be very helpful to a lot of the citizens, especially now that more people are out walking and certainly a lot more bicyclists as well too. So just all around safety there. So again, I apologize. that was my quick version. I'll field any questions you may have for sure, and do the best I can answering those.
Lee?
Yep.
Thank you, Dan. Question, as you know, the select board has gotten a lot of flack from residents about the perception of that we're not acting, quick enough in terms of making a decision on the Housatonic School. So my question to you is about the charrette. Both the Economic Development Committee and previous committees focusing on the school have provided various recommendations on, what we could do at that location. So I'm just wondering what will be in the charrette? Is it something that'll be, how detailed will it be? Will it be recommending uses, or can you just give us a sense of what is it that we're waiting for in September that we're going to be looking at?
So the charrette, the idea of the charrette is to add a design component to it. Anybody that's been involved with this project, and 10 years ago, I made a recommendation to the select board at some point too. So it's been that long, but the idea of the design charrette is to add some visual component to any recommendation. That way it will allow people to kind of see what can be, how that building can actually be used physically, as opposed to just looking at numbers and, potential, tenants or whatever, including, again, what might the space look like if the building was to be removed. So again, we feel it's an important part to kind of tie everything together, all of the nuts and bolts and dollar figures and what could be there, what can't be there, within a parameter of an actual design that,
I understand. Yeah, I guess, so it's a reimagination of what the Housatonic School might look like, but what's the end game with this? Is this something that we hand to a developer and say, look what you could do? Or is this something that the town's going to say, oh, look how great this looks like, we should budget for it? Or I'm just wondering, because from what I understood, we just needed a recommendation on whether you believe we should tear it down or not. So I guess, is this going to be
right? So part of it is going to drive our final decision, or just, we may send more than one recommendation based on what this comes up in the design charrette. And yes, the idea would be that if it were to be passed on to a developer or even the town, some of that design work, the conceptual design work at least, would be done. And the idea is that's just pushes it along a little, the project, whatever it might be, a little bit further and a little bit faster.
So are you confident that we'll have this in September? I'm just worried about the timeline and.
We've been told again that they didn't give us a specific date when they meet, but they would be able to certainly bring it to the membership and then be able to, they have everything they need, all the information they need to conduct a charrette. It's just a matter of them pinpointing an exact date. It's a little bit of an assumption on my part that they'll be able to pinpoint a date in late September or early October. But that's what we're going to strongly encourage them to do.
So they haven't started it yet?
No, the design charrette would be a public process. So it'd be done over a course of a weekend or something like that. Yeah. They haven't done the design charrette. No, they have all the information for the design charrette. They have not done the design charrette.
Does the HIC have a kind of a deadline that if it doesn't happen by a certain date that you'll move forward with something else? Or
that's part of the reason that over the summer we were going to continue working on our the other end of it from our end. That way, if for some reason the charrette falls apart over the summer or they're unable to do it, say by early October, we can certainly keep going in a direction that would get a recommendation within that same kind of time frame.
okay.
So Dan, just so I understand, either way, by the end of September, we're going to get a recommendation from the HIC.
I wouldn't say end of September. I would say probably more closer to the middle of October. If the design charrette happens in the end of September, we would still need another week or two to kind of pull it all together and get everything formalized for you.
Okay, so kind of a drop dead date, October 15th in that area?
I'm not going to commit to that day. I'll say October.
Well, yeah, I mean, I support Steve with that because I feel like, we're getting so much flack about, not really caring enough about what happens to the school and not shoring it up. So I really think at this point, we really need to have a drop dead date so that we can move forward with something else if this doesn't pan out. So.
Well, it's been 10 years, Lee. So I think another 2 weeks isn't, at this point.
If I could just say something, I guess I would, when we're working on this, we are coming towards the end of it. And I just would be hesitant to rush this last bit. And I know it's been going on, but like I've said before with the HIC, we were having technical issues in the beginning of it. And it took us a while since we were formed right when COVID started. So I feel that we were lacking some time in the beginning. I know it's been a year since we were formed, maybe a little longer, but it was a real struggle at first for all of us to get on board. So I guess me with my HIC hat on right now, I guess I'm just asking for a little more patience. So we can just move forward with this. It's just such a permanent decision I feel that we're trying to make in the HIC that if we could just have a little bit more time, that would be appreciated.
Well, we shoot for the October 25th meeting.
Sure, we can pass that on. We can pass that along to the folks up at AIA, and they can we'll let them know that we do have a drop dead date, so we can certainly force.
I might move them along a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's for the presentation, Steve, October 25th?
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on, let me put that in my calendar now so I don't miss that. Walk in October 25th. Okay.
Other questions, comments? I have a hand up in the audience. Let me find out who it is. And it's Eileen, and let's see if I can. Go ahead, Eileen. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yep, you're unmuted.
Good. I was wondering, is October 25th, so the selectmen's meeting on the 25th, is that the drop dead deadline for a recommendation from the committee, or the deadline for the charrette to have been completed?
That would be when I would ideally like the Housatonic Improvement Committee to report to the Select Board.
With his recommendation.
With the recommendation.
The recommendation.
Thank you.
Dan, being a former Select Board member, we try not to say drop dead.
So
Other questions?
I think real quickly, Steve, I just do want to add that in return, if you're asking us to have this recommendation by this exact point, I would respectfully ask that the Select Board don't drag their feet another 10 years and make an actual decision and move forward once we do make that recommendation as well, too. So.
Yeah, we could debate whether we dragged our feet. I think there were a couple of bids that went out and a few other things. And you were on the board then, so we won't discuss that tonight.
Sure.
Discuss it over coffee sometime.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion, since you are watching social media, and I know every member of this board is, there are apparently plenty of people who know exactly what the Select Board has done wrong. Why don't you invite some of them to help fill the 2 slots? It shouldn't be, there are plenty of people who weigh in.
Yeah, we've put the word out many times. We tried to spread the word even at town meeting. And it's like any other committee, you guys all know, it's hard to get people to commit to time. And usually when people, even after they commit to the time, they realize that they don't have the time, or things change in people's lives, but we encourage anybody to show up at our meetings.
Super.
Before we move on.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
So Dan, I'm not sure if the pedestrian safety signage request was a Housatonic Improvement Committee request or a personal request for Pleasant Street.
No, That was a HIC request.
I just wanted to let you know, we did order signage.
Okay.
In any day now, and as soon as we have it, we will put it in place. But it did come up, I think, at the last meeting, and we did order that. So we're on track to have that in place soon.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and I just had a question. Following social media as you do, there was talk about, beautification of Housatonic and how there used to be a certain committee that put flower baskets. I was just wondering if you had heard if anything is moving ahead with that, or if there's anything that we could help with, or.
Well, I don't follow social media. In fact, I avoid it like the plague. It's everybody else. If anybody's ever looked on my Facebook page, they'll see pictures of me that are like 10 years old. But I think Eric has been in contact with Jim Stark. Eric, right? Didn't you tell me you were from Housatonic?
That is correct. Yeah, Jim Stark and Tom Norton. So we're hoping to have them on. They're the ones that lead the Housatonic, the Beautiful Fund. That was started by Alice Bobrisky, and it's a not-for-profit organization that was using monies that was donated to them to plant planters around the town and on the bridge. So we're just trying to schedule them in for one of our next couple meetings, just to discuss how it works and how we can help them move forward with it. There hasn't been that many volunteers. Their committee has gotten older with time, obviously. So we're hoping to stoke some more conversation on it, get some of the younger people in town involved, and hopefully kind of resurrect that whole process again, bring more light on it.
Eric, do you know, has there been flowers on the bridge? I had heard that maybe it was a state bridge and we might not be able to.
There was always flowers on the old bridge before it got replaced. Several people used to maintain them themselves. Housatonic, we sometimes ask for forgiveness before permission. So we just put the flowers, people put the flowers on the bridge, and no one ever had a problem with it. So, but that was all, done through the town people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be behind anything that lifts the spirits of the Housatonic residents. So, I look forward to hearing more about that. Thank you.
When is the next meeting of the Housatonic Improvement Committee?
Thursday.
The 24th?
Yes, if that's what this coming Thursday is, yes.
Yes. What time?
6:30.
Perfect. Anyone else with questions? Seeing none. Dan, thank you for coming in your busy day, and I'm glad you accommodated us and came in. Next would be citizen speak time. I have a hand up, and it's, well, the first one would be Elizabeth Rockefeller. Just state your name and address and speak, please.
Yes, this is Elizabeth Rockefeller, 284 Park Street North. And I did send an email to Mark late this afternoon, but I just want to bring the select board up that dirty water is back in Housatonic. Last week, it was like a yellowy, light yellowy color. Yesterday, it was horrific again. Today, it's not so bad, but we're going to be plagued by this again, and I'm not very happy about it.
Thank you for informing us. We appreciate that. Next would be Jan Wojcik.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead. Name and address and go
Jan
right ahead.
Wojcik, 1 Roger Road, hopefully at some point 253 Long Pond Road. I just wanted to bring up an old
you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
I just want to bring up an old piece of document that was in the packet originally distributed for today's meeting about 250 Long Pond. And it had to do with last summer, Matthew Colmer, your assistant building inspector, having issued basically a cease and desist order, in essence, to the owner of 250, and yet he's continued to use the property as he sees fit. And with him withdrawing his special permitting request, doesn't that just allow him to keep doing whatever he wants to do as long as he wants to do it?
It does not.
So was he ever fined for that original cease and desist order?
I don't know the answer to that. I did meet with our building inspector and zoning enforcement officer, and he is prepared to move on this and issue a new cease and desist order very soon if this continues.
So is the town willing to put some teeth into this? Because living on One Roger Road, I can tell you that we've put up a lot in this neighborhood with the town saying one thing and then Ed may not being able to really get back and get things done because he didn't have support in the past.
The town is willing to put a cease and desist order up if this continues.
And who's the best person that the local folks can contact to document that he's actually having a function there on most weekends?
After hours would be the police department.
But during hours would be the building inspector's office.
Correct. Or either way, if you go through the police department, messages will make it back to the zoning enforcement officer. But please let us know and we will do what we can.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just add on that, Stephen, I think they had something function. You know, I'm working some time at Plaza and they ordered 400 pounds of ice on Saturday.
Okay, it's good to know. Next we have up, let's see here, hold on. Susan Segal. Just unmute yourself, state your name and address.
Hi, yes, this is Susan Siegel. I'm full-time resident at 263 Long Pond Road in Great Barrington. I live directly across the street from number 250 Long Pond Road. And you know that you had an application for special permit and that Mr. Alpert, who owns the property, withdrew it at the last minute. I'm here because I live directly across the street and I have an intolerable situation with his property before you even get to considering an application or a permit, because he, for the 5 years that I've been here, has been running a commercial enterprise in the middle of our residential neighborhood. And the noise is, it's as though the circus comes to town 2 or 3 times a month during the summer, actually from May until September. The noise is so loud, it rattles my windows. I can't hear my own television in my house. I can't have guests over because they wouldn't be able to hear conversation. It's just that loud. In addition to that, there was a night when I called the police 3 times. Twice was about noise and the third time was about the launching of fireworks over my house. My house was built in 1742 and I did a kind of historic renovation. So I've got a cedar roof and cedar siding, and I had fireworks directly over my house during a drought when there was a fire emergency in the state, and he shouldn't be doing that. But I'm telling you, with or without the permit, he is running a business there, and it's to the detriment of all of the property owners who abut that property. When we thought the hearing was going to be on the agenda tonight, we sent you a letter of opposition, and I believe Mr. Alpert probably didn't want us to have a chance to voice our opposition, so he withdrew. And I'm sure there are other reasons too, but I'm here tonight to ask you to please give us a hearing, because this illegal business that's going on up there ruins my own enjoyment of my property. And in the case of the fireworks, it actually endangered wildlife, the forest around me, my own house, my own life. It's very serious. And I know that he intends to go on marketing his property as an events venue. Even while you were supposed to be considering his application, he's gone on having an event. There was one this past weekend. There was a wedding the weekend before. I know this because apparently they don't give good driving directions and people end up in my driveway. Either they come to my door and ask where 250 Long Pond is, or they park in my driveway thinking they can just walk across the street to the event, or they use me as a turnaround. So I look out there and all day cars are, turning around in my driveway. There are so many issues from the planning board perspective, from the Board of Health perspective, from the police department perspective and fire department perspective. The house at 250 Long Pond is way up, something like a quarter of a mile from Long Pond on a single lane dirt road. If he caused a fire, how do those people get out of there? So there is such a lack of consideration for the law, the neighbors, the environment. I ask you to please allow us to have a hearing to present all of our objections. And we hope, like anything, that you will do what you can to stop the business across the street, enforce the laws, penalize him every time he has one of these events in violation of the law. So that's why I came to tonight, is ask for a hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trevor Forbes.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you very much, Chairman. Trevor Forbes, 325 North.
Sorry, I may have done that, Trevor. Go right ahead. Just unmute yourself, Trevor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, Trevor Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. In respect of 250 Long Pond, do you have enough evidence to order an enforceable cease and desist on this operation, given the fact that we have evidence that they appear to be planning a fairly major event, in addition to which their website is still up and running and obviously very clearly advertises this property as a very significant event location? Can you not actually enforce the cease and desist, given the fact that they're doing this without a proper permitting? That was just my question.
So I can respond to that by letting you know that I've met with staff as recently as today, and we have a draft cease and desist order that we're working on right now. And I do believe that we have enough information. And the process, of course, would be that the zoning enforcement officer would issue a cease and desist order that could be appealed, and that would result in a hearing before the ZBA, but we're just not there yet.
So your answer, the short answer is yes, Trevor.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any more hands up. There was one. Seeing no other, oops, there's one going up.
Two more.
Two more. I'm sorry, Trevor, yours went up again. Before I go to Michelle.
It's Denise Forbes this time.
So let me go to Michelle first because she was up first, and then I'll recognize you, Denise. Is that okay?
Thank you. Yes.
Michelle?
Michelle Bear, 70 Division Street. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak. I am hearing a reoccurring theme from meeting to meeting to meeting, not exactly select board to select board, but planning board, zoning board of appeals, etc. When special permits are coming forward or any other permit, citizens are asked to trust the town of Great Barrington with regard to enforcement. And I'm seeing town enforcement fail often. And when I say fail, is that citizens, such as the citizens on Long Pond Road, go months, if not longer, dealing with an issue until it comes to a head like it did tonight. And I myself have experienced it in my neighborhood. and with businesses running without permits and and there's just like, we're supposed to trust you to, when we call, to enforce. And this is just really frustrating to me because I'm hearing it all the time at special permit hearings. I hear it at the planning board. Well, you know, we have mechanisms for enforcement, but how long does it take to have those mechanisms work? In the meantime, a neighborhood suffers. And especially when it's a business that thumbs its nose at town laws, that leaves little recourse for a citizen other than hiring an attorney. And I've been there, and the last thing you want to do is spend several $1,000s on an attorney to kind of secure enforcement from the town of Great Barrington. I'm listening to these poor people up on Long Pond Road and I'm grinding my teeth. I'm pretty upset that they're going through what they're going through. Yet another business doing its own thing. They're having complaints, and it's taking to tonight to actually do something. And I think the town of Great Barrington needs to, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, step it up when it comes to enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Denise Forbes?
How do I unmute? Okay, I think I did it. Denise Forbes, 325 North Plain Road. I just want to mention that the water again is really bad here at our house too. And it's been like this for a couple of, last week really. And it's just not drinkable. We won't drink it, and it just needs to be discussed in a bigger way. And also just to mention, I did try to apply for the Housatonic Improvement Committee when it first was established, and I wasn't fortunately picked. So if anyone wants to pick me, I'm here, willing and able to go on the board and help out with issues in Housatonic. So I just want to let that be known, but thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing no one else.
Tony.
Oops.
Tony's raising his hand.
Okay, I don't even see it.
Yeah, it keeps coming up and disappearing. I'm just gonna give him permission.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah. Tony Pacetta, did you want to speak?
Yes, I do. I don't, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to say I love the sidewalks, Housatonic. Kind of semi-retired, substitute teaching at Monument, and my wife and I use the trail, the sidewalks to get to the rail trail every day. Probably do 3 miles, which I need to do because I got to get a little more activity in my life here being off this summer. But I talked to Sean last week. I ran into him, and what he told me, things are not completed yet. I know a lot of people have been complaining. I saw some comments on Facebook about lines and signs. And I guess what Sean mentioned to me is the project is not complete. There's still more to go. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that before they go on Facebook or complain, or to give Sean a call and, tell him what the problem is. For us, it's great because we can go at the end of Prospect Street. It connects to the rail trail. We can go either way with it. We've gone to West Stockbridge and we've gone to Home Gas. I think it's great. It's great for our dog because they're not walking a lot on hot pavement. They're in the woods. And I think it's been a great improvement to Housatonic.
Thank you, Tony.
I got one more comment.
Absolutely.
I know you guys are working on the entrance to Monument Mountain. Working up there, I've talked to many students, and one of their biggest concerns is the entrance to Monument Mountain, especially sophomores going in their junior year, getting their license and getting to the entrance. I know I've talked to Peter Dillon, and he mentioned to me, he gets nervous getting at it, but then you get a new driver. And I know the vice principal has put out different videos, but when you're actually there and you're looking in that mirror and there's 14, 15 cars behind you, and I know they say, well, there's no accidents, but how many incidents? And my wife and I work up there, And I've seen many in all the years. I've taught 18 in the 80s and 90s, and now I'm back for the second stint. And it scares me not to have that one girl or boy in the class that I'm teaching that day, not there the next day. And I understand, I know I talked to Mark and I've talked to Peter, I've talked to Smitty Pignatelli, I've reached out to Lee, and I realize that the public cannot get involved right now. But if it does get to that, please keep me informed. I can reach out to students. It'll be a little difficult now in the summer, but I could get statements because they talk about it every day in class. We have a few minutes at the end and we discuss things, and I worry about them. I love all the kids that are there. I know you do, Steve, too, with the Berkshire Hills. And I realize they're going to say there's a light down by the middle school, but it just doesn't cut it. I mean, something has got to be done, and we can't wait for another accident before we say, oh, we've got to do something. So whatever, comes of that, I'd love to get involved. If something evolves from that, down to my level, any input or whatever, I'd like to help, because I just don't want to see anyone. I was there in '77 when 2 girls were killed during a football game. I was there. I saw the accident, saw the people. One of the girls I was at BCC with, and it's scary. And something has finally got to get done. Like I say, I worry about those sophomores and juniors that are getting their licenses, and they're new drivers, and they're nervous about it. And I know I'm nervous about it when I leave. Thank you to the Stockbridge Police. They help out big time there at the end of the school day. Great Barrington has been helping, but something needs to be there 24/7 to stop cars so people can get out of that entrance.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Can I speak to that? Or
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. And I know we've been corresponding. I have a rising junior who is about to get her license, and that terrifies me that she'll be driving down that same entrance every day next year. But I did want to update you that since that May 5th crash and the select board meeting that I did bring it up, we've had a meeting with Peter Dillon and Stephen Soul and myself and Steve Bannon and Chief Storty on June 9th. So we are moving forward. As you might have heard, we've begun the process of having a feasibility study look into some possible solutions. And we're now trying to set up a meeting in July that we can get Smitty and Adam and a representative from the governor's office, as well as the DOT there. So we are hard at work trying to find a solution, and I appreciate all your support, and I will be reaching out to you again.
Okay, moving ahead, select board time. Garfield.
Good.
Eric.
I'm good as well. Thank you.
Ed.
Nothing.
Lee.
I was just going to give an update on the Monument Mountain High School entrance. So that was it.
You have nothing for me. Media time. Seeing none, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.